All right, everyone. Welcome to the Last City Radio episode number 72. It's just a wonderful evening. We're back at it again on a Tuesday night. I know it's different this time, guys. I know you guys aren't used to a Tuesday night, but we are here. So I appreciate all of you guys for joining in and keeping it real with us and excited about today's show. We're finally at part two of the show, so it's going to be grand. So I appreciate all of you guys, man. As always, thanks for sticking in and just let me know how everything is good. Everybody else, you can finally go ahead and jump on in. First thing first, just want to make sure that everyone is good, everyone's feeling good. All right. Other than that, I feel good. I hope everyone else is as well tonight. Appreciate all my viewers as always for coming on through like you do. I appreciate you. That being said, we got our returning folks in here, so I want to introduce them the right way. So we got the guy who's always been a pretty good lore savvy man, very sci-fi-ish, and he also is the former co-host of the Spin 4 Theory podcast. My man, Mr. Taylor B. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Glad to be back. Super psyched. Happy to be here for part two. Part one was a blast. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate you for coming along again for part two, man. Last show was amazing. So we're going to have another exciting show today. So I also want to introduce the lady of the round table. She is amazing. Not on that, she been on her Genshin grind, doing a little thing. A great writer, and she's working on something with my man Psalms Lab, which unfortunately, he's working hard, so he wasn't able to come today. But she's working with him. She is amazing. I definitely want to introduce Miss Ariska Plays. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. Just on my grind, taking it easy today. I'm glad I'm off work as usual. you know, I love it when you get a chance to have those days off. So now that we all got you guys here, fortunately, everybody, I don't know if you guys let me know in the chat if Destiny is back up, because I know it was down today. I guess they're doing maintenance or something going on. So just let me know, guys, if it's back up and running. I definitely want to get your thoughts on that. But other than that, so which pretty much last week we could call it, we was on a part one of the Lord panel. We discussed a lot of things like the whole Clover spray thing. I'm talking more about the Vex, making a little bit of predictions about the moon and everything like that, and even spreading, ideas of what could possibly happen going forward. This time, I want us to talk a little bit more about, the hive and everything like that, because I feel like we've gotten so much hive lore for sure when it comes to Witch Queen. It really kind of, I would say, it kind of unfolded a lot of the things that we kind of speculated and knew from, the Book of Sorrows and everything like that. So I do want to ask the panel this, when it comes to the hive and everything like that, do you think, this is the end, of the chapter when it comes to the hive? Or, of course, we still have Shiva Wrath, but, we don't know how that's going to play out. How you kind of feeling about the hive story kind of climaxing since Witch Queen? So, Riska, you are up first. How you feeling about the hive story overall?
I'm not sure if this is going to be the end of what we see of the hive. I don't mean to segue you too much, but I have to ask you this, Taylor, because I couldn't figure out the answer to this question, and I wanted to know if you had a little bit more input on this, because we often see like where we are presently with the hive, what we dealt with in D1 with the hive. We see a little bit more into the veil of what went on with the witness in the hive, them thinking that it was, the what was it, the God Ender, the just basically like a cataclysmic event for them, for Savathun, Zivorath, Oryx, and I can never remember the other name of the sister. But basically,
Sabby.
Savona. Is it Savona?
Yeah, Sathona. Yeah.
Savona. But I'm always really curious as to why the Krill were running in the first place, why they ended up on Fundament, because we have like a middle of a story for them and we have close to an end for a story for them, but we never have a beginning of the story for them.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're asking the right questions, right? What they allude to in the Book of Sorrows that we have, I know there's more than one book, so forgive me when I say singular. But what they allude to is that Fundament, this gas giant, what they were living on were crashed ships, like land masses made from crashed ships. So they never actually say how they got there, except for the fact that they allude that the deep was luring them in to their prison to set them free. So even from that time that we don't really have a like clear picture of, they were unfortunate enough to be exploring or doing whatever they were doing, and they came by Fundament, where the worm gods were imprisoned. They were
And
imprisoned.
on top of,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And even then, wasn't the Traveler living on one of the moons of Fundament at that time as well?
I don't know if the Traveler was there when they crashed, but at the beginning of their story, the Ziggy Zaggy, if you're a Focus Fire chat fan, but the Zizigi was being set up by the Traveler, kind of by all accounts. The one thing that I think is contestable is the Worm's whisper that the Traveler was trying to also wipe out the Krill, which we've never heard the Traveler speak on. We've never heard like the other side of that story. So like we know the honest Worm was like honest that they were lying.
Yeah.
Like so that's where that is. But yeah, they were stranded. We don't know. There's like some description of like them and the heliometers kind of being similar, but I also kind of think that it's interesting that the heliometers would eat the krill. So I wonder, like, I always wonder, like, were they unrelated? Were they two different crashed? Maybe they were two species having a fight and got pulled into the planet.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, because it's a weird phenomenon, because we don't really get a chance. We get some of it, but like you were saying, it's kind of, one-sided in a way. We don't really get a chance to hear the other story of, everything that really was going on at the time from the others' races' perspective. I would say the helium drinkers was kind of like, they're kind of like and they're a hive category, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or they're just their own little kind of thing.
It depends on like what school you kind of ascribe to, and I think there's a very reasonable argument. It's a very popular argument that that's just a different part of the same ship, because hive have the different morphs and what have you, and like the helium drinkers may have been like a morph or like a proto version of the morph that we now recognize.
Yeah.
Conversely, like they just could be completely different.
That's true.
I feel like the hive are just an open faced sandwich. We don't have that other part of the bread to kind of like close everything up. So
that's true.
Maybe it's just me, but I'm just like, I would very much like the full story before we close the book on them, kind of deal.
Right. Because I still think their mother is still out there, though. She's not. I don't think she's not dead. I think the last that we heard, she was kind of like frozen or something.
That's Tao. I don't think she's their mother.
You don't think so?
If I recall correctly, she is a mother, which is a morph.
Mm-hmm.
Iriska, I kind of defer to you, like, because I'm just kind of trying to like recall off the top of my head. It's been a while since I read that particular stuff, but I don't recall that she was their mother. I think she was just a member of the court or had
She
something
was like
to
a
do.
leader.
Yeah,
And she wasn't like the only leader either. I think she was
Right.
one of like 3
yeah.
or
Yeah,
something like that.
It was. I don't
because
know
I
if it
know
was
Teox
3.
was. Yeah, she
Well,
was.
that's yeah, but she takes over. She's like a different faction. She takes over after the king dies.
Yeah.
And that's who the 3, the siblings,
Mm-hmm.
Sivu Arath, Oryx, who would become Oryx. I think it's like Zivu, Aurash, and they have like slightly different names. But
Yeah.
they're who get revenge. They're who go to the deep and come back as the Hive.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say Taux or Teox. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, so forgive me.
I think it's Teox.
Yeah, it's Teox. Yeah.
Cool. I think Teox, while being a mother morph, is
Mm-hmm.
not, because there's more than one mother morph. Because that's what Savathun wanted to be. I forget her proto name, but that's what she wanted to be even from the beginning, so that she wouldn't have like such a short life.
Yeah.
She would at least like double it by doing that.
True. Yeah, because it's always like one of those things. It's like, okay, we know there's more brood, mothers, but I guess she was like the specific one. I guess tied to the king, the original king that was looking at the syzygy and everything like that. But it's
I think. Sorry.
no, go ahead. What you just gonna say?
I was gonna say I think she was the one who was in charge of like recording their history.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense, Ariska? Is that
Yeah, I also just pulled up. I wanted to like double check myself. She was sterile too, and she had a longer lifespan. So she was it. It kind of like was only appropriate that she would be to a degree like some measure of record keeper.
Yeah. Kind of like a big historian. But the funny thing about her is the fact that like she kind of was like, okay, I want to go ahead and kind of overthrow and take over. So I'm going to start this big mess. I'm going to kind of bribe the other, I guess, clan of the Krill, to go and invade, kill the king, kill the king's offspring, so I can take over, type deal. But I guess it didn't go quite as she planned, because they escaped. Do you think because they escaped, do you think it was a good idea that they escaped now that we look at what they have became? all of the king's offspring, what they became because of the worm gods and Roke and the witness. Do you think it was a good idea for Teox to actually rule? Being that they got tricked and everything like that.
I think considering that she was overthrowing a guy who was completely what's the word, seduced by the little worm god.
Yeah.
Or the port
driven to a measure of insanity.
I never really felt like she was the bad guy necessarily. Just kind of like making tough choices. And like she goes on to warn other civilizations, completely absent of a power grab. She goes on to like warn, I think it's the Harmony? Not the Harmony.
The Ecumene or something like that? Something like that.
Yes. Sorry. Names always get a little
I
jumbled
know it's been
sometimes.
so long.
The acumen.
Yeah,
I want
yeah,
to say acumen. Acumen? Is that right?
yeah, something like that.
Their
Yeah, I think it is
government,
something.
right?
Yeah. But yeah, like they get they get warned like before the hive even make their approach, and they're
Mm-hmm.
still not able to survive.
Nope.
And then yeah, like last you hear kind of what you were talking about in when you brought her up, Carlisle. That's yeah. She's like last you heard of her, she's like frozen to stop her from dying and like going off to like hopefully like warn someone else.
Yeah, and that's what makes me think it's like, well, at the end of the day, she's still a play in the deck. Will we be able to reach her, and will she be able to tell us certain things? I don't know. That's the thing. It's like we haven't really heard from her since. Shoot, it's been a minute. It's definitely been a while.
But we've never heard from her.
Mm-mm. The only thing we that mentioned was the Book of Sorrows and stuff. That's kind of the only time we kind of heard of her and her
It's
whereabouts.
why I feel like this at least from like the scheme of things and how things are going and the possibility of like if there is a Destiny 3 and we decide to move out of Soul, the Hive would actually be one of the best connections in order to move out of this system.
Right.
Just turn Luna into a war moon so we can reuse the map no matter where we go.
Just saying.
We could do that.
Tides be darned.
It's fine.
Yeah, because right now it's like the Hive have a lot of dimensional transports, Because the thing about it, the Cabal, yeah, they travel, they do their thing, but it's just like, look how long it took Gaul to come here. It took him a whole year just to get here. The Oryx didn't take him that long. He was already like, yo, here I am. I can travel through ascended planes. Let's go. And
I mean, sorry, I was gonna say if you think about it, it took Oryx longer
you think so?
because we killed Crota in year 1.
That's true.
Took him twice as long.
But when you say he was kind of already kind of like on the horizon in a way, like, hey, I'm here.
It'd be interesting to see like later on down the road, like what things are like in terms of distance between a lot of like these places that we know outside of our own system, and like what exactly their proximity is in relation to one another, because it makes you wonder like what system Tora Bottle is sitting in, how close to also just like the thought of ever actually going to Fundament, having that possibility be on the horizon, especially if Savathun does come back and we have some relation with her moving forward. Is that a possibility in the future? And what things are like now out in the system, considering the darkness has been moving through the way that it has. It's a question of like how long has that been going on? How many other places were affected by it? And
exactly
what is left out there?
I'm also curious if it's all in the same. Like, is this all still taking place within the Milky Way?
Yeah, I do wonder that.
Is it a different galaxy? Like,
yeah, because
we could go to Pillars of Creation.
Yeah, they don't really specify where. We know these places. Just like Lubre. Where's Lubre at? Is it is outside of the Milky Way? Is it a different? Where's that place? So we won't know now because apparently it got destroyed. But those are things that we really want to explore. Especially going forward in the next saga. We've got to go outside of the solar system. I can just really see that happening because if you think about it, whatever happens at a final shape, that's going to determine what's going to happen with the rest of the races that's still going forward. Who do we still have left? How do we help them? Because then we're going to be pretty much defenders, of soul, all of us, that we have allied with us. So now it's going to be like, okay, we dealt with the witness. Now, what do we need to do? Okay, we need to go back and take back home worlds. We need to go back and, establish places for you guys to rebuild, because people going to have to rebuild. We're going to have to rebuild the city, And now that we got Neomuna, I was just thinking the other night, I was like, you know what? Now that we have the Cloud Striders, with their technology, couldn't they rebuild our last city back and just a whole rebuild, to just make things better on Earth?
That or provide a level of protection for the people left on Earth if we have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that we talked about how, like with the final shape, like this is the end of the story with, the light and dark. But does that mean it's the end for the Traveler? Because if it's the end for the Traveler, does that involve the Traveler possibly sacrificing itself in such a way that our ghosts are now bound to us and work just as well? Does that mean that the Traveler is going to keep moving and we're just going to keep following it? Because if we leave, the people on Earth still need a measure of protection. Yes, they are absolutely capable, but having the technology that Neomuna might have would be more than helpful in keeping them safe if we were gone.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like the way their technology is, it seems like it's more paracausal in a way where it's able to actually destroy a pyramid. I'm saying that means, they have a lot of means and a lot of resources to use to help repair it. I'm thinking, maybe, the tower might get destroyed temporarily, and we're going to have to kind of take refuge in near Ramuna as our base to operations, or, Kaido flagship or something. I would love for us to have more like Cabal vendors, Elixir vendors. We haven't had a Cabal vendor yet. I think that would be cool, okay, we can go visit the big flagship and, talk with, Kaido and Saladin and everything like that. It's going to be, I feel like it's a lot that's going to take a turn, especially when it comes to this next chapter and even final shape. Things are going to start to feel like, okay, we're desperate. We didn't lost the city. If we do lose the city, it's like, okay, what are we going to do next? Where are we going to go? Is everyone just going to scatter? Are they going to take refuge? Somebody had pointed out, they was talking about, where's the citizens of Neomuna? And I think it was Evade or something like that. He kind of zoomed in on one of the trailers and was seeing that you saw humans there, but they were kind of like in a silhouette kind of vibe, like they was in some type of in between dimensions or something. But they were there. It's like they hid them for a time. It was very interesting when I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, he's right. They are there, but they're not there at the same point. So I do want to ask y'all though, like, what we kind of touched on it, but thinking about just how we already talked about how Savathun, might come into play. What we think, like for me, I was thinking, okay, maybe they're probably gonna come back. Maybe she's probably gonna come back probably like during the seasons, one of the seasons of Lightfall. That's possible. I could see that happening because with the final shape, I'm sure that's kind of like the final showdown type deal. So I was thinking, okay, how many more assets are we going to be able to get going forward? And just what do you guys think and predict might happen throughout the seasons of Lightfall? Who you think we're going to meet? Who you think is going to return? Well, what you guys got for spin-forwardly speculative theory? You go first, Ariska. What you thinking? What you think? Who you think is going to show up?
I'm going to stand confident in what I said the last time we talked about it. I'm hoping that we get Savathun before the end of the season,
Mm-hmm.
and that the next year of content is us just building up as much as we can. That we are either going to see more familiar faces, we're going to see a bunch of new faces, and that it's going to be a very large community effort on the horizon.
Yeah, I can see that. I definitely can see that, for sure. Any special guests you would love to see, that finally show their face?
I would actually like to see more of Drifter's old pals. I would like to see more Guardians that have been living on the fringe. I'd like to see more individuals who have either refused to work with the Vanguard in the past or haven't been invited to work with the Vanguard in the past because of their past.
Yeah, I can see that.
Give me more complicated characters.
Right. I would love to see. I'm still on the bandwagon of where is Shinobu and the Six Coyotes? Where are they at? I know they're still around at some point. Where are they? We keep getting different references to them, different exotics with them, with Shinobu and everything like that. I do want to see them come into play, So that's one of the special guests I would love to see come into the story more, and their group. We already know about the Tex Mechanica group. We finally learned about them, But Shinobu, I was like, where's Shinobu at? I would love to see it. What you think, Taylor? Who would you want to see come forward? What type of predictions you got about the seasons of Lightfall going ahead?
I really want to see Lysander.
And Lysander of the Concord.
I want to see Lysander and the Concordat make an appearance. I think it'd be great if they somehow have something to do with Neo Luna. I think that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and even if they don't, because I can see how that doesn't quite connect. But I would like to see that thread kind of tied off. I would, because I feel like Teox might have like a similar like Lysander syndrome is what I'm going to call it. Just kind of like mentioned, seems important, never heard from again.
It's true.
Went upstairs with their basketball. just went upstairs with their basketball and never came back down the rest of the
series. Yeah, you're right though, because she's very important. Lysander's very important. Okay, we're just not gonna pull them back out right now. We're gonna keep going with the story. At some point, we might say a little something.
Yeah, and especially with Osiris seeming to trying to change his ways and and reconciling maybe some of his past mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be a really cool moment, because especially like all the people that were after the Concordat that were their enemies in the last city, they're dead.
Right.
They're
gone.
Except for Osiris. But
exactly.
that seems like an allegedly type thing, considering the sources who are saying that they were against him. So just say. Yeah,
and what's funny is they now that there's nobody stopping Lysander from coming back. Really, he could make a return. I mean, they accepted Osiris back. Now he's free to go. Wherever he wants to, he stays back in the city again. He's a part of everything. Why not Lysander? He's another one. I know that. I think Ulan Tan, he died, I believe.
Yes.
But what he was preaching, he wasn't wrong about what he was saying. He literally wasn't wrong. But I think during that time,
I made a meme once upon a time. There's Ulan Tan turning in his grave with the Vanguard preaching balance. It's like, really? Well, let me see if I can find it. I'll put it in the chat.
You gotta put that in the chat.
I got it. Hold on.
Oh my goodness.
There. I'll put it in the
that meme is spot on though.
Twitch chat.
Oh, I gotta see that, man. But that's spot on because it's funny because he's been preaching the balance all this time. Oh, I'm dead now, and you guys are. Oh, now you finally accepted what I've been trying to tell you all along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
He's not
that's.
happy with that call.
I know. I was like, oh, now you guys are on board. I've been trying to tell you that. But you didn't want to hear me. You're like, oh, we should follow what Ulantine is doing.
Stick it in. I'll
Teaches.
stick it in our chat too.
But that's true. That's another one. But you know something? We never got a chance to really talk about Tolan. I feel like he's been kind of one of the guys who's been very silent as of late, especially when everything's going on. You know, because I think the last time we got a chance to really hear him was when we Shadowkeep, I believe. I think that was the last time he said anything. And it's like, well, you know, Tolan, you are like the master of High Arcana, right? Wouldn't you be talking more about Sabathun as Evil Wrath? You know, he you would think he would know a lot of what's going on. He's in a weird spot. I feel like they haven't utilized him as much as I thought they were going to utilize him. What do you think, Taylor, about Tolan as far as his character?
I think he's going deeper into the Ascendant Plane, which is really one of our least explored,
Mm-hmm.
sort of extra dimensional places that we've ever been. So for me, I think, yeah, he has been absent, but I think by the end of the Light and Dark saga, we're going to have to go back to the Ascendant Plane, and that's going to be his chance to play a role if he's going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
It's also why I feel like we're going to see a lot of the Nine again. Like, the seeds have been planted along the way in regards to the Nine, and we've gotten a lot of backstory in regards to characters involved with dealings with the Nine to a degree. I'd be curious to see how that all plays out in hand with Tolan.
Right.
Because I feel like their stories have yet to be like really kind of brought to the forefront. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, Tolan to a degree was absolutely brought to the forefront with Shadowkeep, but he wasn't necessarily like. But also like having any conversation with Tolan is like a double-edged sword.
It is.
So it's kind of like, how much are you willing to, you know, play with fire? Because you're going to get burned. It's a matter of like how much you're going to get burned.
Mm-hmm. Because you just don't know with him. And the funny thing about it is, like, the thing about Tolan, which made him very knowledgeable, like, you always wanted to know what he knows, because he would say certain things that was like, oh, that might potentially, you know, happen in the future time, especially like, you know, back in Forsaken, you know, he played a pretty good part in that. And especially every time you go to the Ascendant Plane, which like you said, I wish we would be able to explore a lot more of the Ascendant Plane. I feel like we hear about it all the time, but we never really got a chance to really. I think the only time we really got a chance to really fully get a chance to explore the area is more when we did Season of the Lost. Of course, you know, Forsaken we did a little bit, but Season of the Lost we really got a chance to really delve into Ascendant Plane type of stuff. I thought that was really cool. But as far as Tolan, I'm like, you know, he is a very interesting character, well spoken, but he's more, you know, we don't know if he's insane, his insanity, you know, or it's him just telling us like, listen, you know, this is what's going on. Because the thing about him is he's not totally good, and he's not totally evil. He's kind of like in between in a way.
He's chaotic neutral.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing about his character, that it's just like, okay, just like when he was like Corey is the key to back to my sim, like Oryx type thing, he would tell us when we walk in the Ascendant Plane, he was right about that. He was telling them, hey, listen, Korea's going to have to watch Korea because we already know, what type of time Korea is on and she's going to be utilized. And guess what? The Endless Night. Look at what happened. That was Korea. We never thought we'd see it. And there it is. I think that was a really good way of really putting things. Bungie does a really good job when they put things together for the future, and they explain it in something in the past. Like, hey, this is what's going on. You go back and say, oh, he was right about that. That's crazy. That this all flushed out. He knows so much about everything, but he just haven't said anything much about Sabathun or anything about Zebra Rapper. So you would think he knew about Crota, Oryx, and all that. They haven't utilized him with that. I was like, is that kind of a missed opportunity?
It also makes me wonder, like, how much he exactly knows.
Right.
Just being able to travel through the ascendant plane, like how much that actually tampers with your consciousness and what that does to you over time. Because he's been there for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I cannot begin to imagine what perception is like traveling through the ascendant plane. Because you may not, what we would think possibly, I guess, would be, why didn't he see these things? It wouldn't surprise me if, he's just basically looking through a keyhole into a giant room and can only see so much.
Right. And if you think about this, we do know that Zebo Rap travels a lot through the ascended plane. We know her armies are already organizing out there in the ascended plane. Even Marasov she kind of told us about that. And we know that right now, Zebo Raf is no joke right now. She is like the strongest out of all of them. She knows her aspect is war, and she knows she's very tactical about the way she do things. And the thing is, like, we even Eris, it's like, okay, now we see Eris, and Eris, she doesn't even. She's like, okay, now we need to figure out, what she's doing, because if we think about it, we didn't get much. We got a lot of stuff when it came to Eris because she's very hype savvy, but we didn't get much of her when it came to how Savathun plays. We got a little bit of her, in Witch Queen, helping us out, but I was like, she really wasn't as present as I would have liked to have her, especially during dealing with Savathun. She knows all about the hive and the royalty and everything like that, and she really wasn't utilized like that. What y'all think of that? Eris's presence, especially in the Witch Queen, leading up to it.
I think they're alluding to something with her in the background. And I think it may. There were some illusions that she had Drifter's trust, and it's with a capital T, and it's that like double entendre. It's like she literally has the sidearm because he has a different gun since that entry came out. He has a different revolver in his belt, and then likewise, she literally has his trust that they've been alluding to the relationship growing, which is also like very sweet, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like really cool because it's just like kind of like innocent and like, oh, like you're just not being a jerk. Okay. Okay. Like, yeah. All right. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm here for it too. But I think given the model being used again, you can see that trust model hand cannon appearing in the stuff for the upcoming release. I think there's a chance it'll happen there. But whenever it happens, I think one, they'll both be featured, Drifter and Eris, and I think that could coincide with Tolan, but it could be kind of like two sides of the same coin. Like they're doing their own thing, and then you kind of get sent beyond their sphere of influence, and like, oh, well, here's Tolan, ascended plane. Hey, I'm here to yell at you. Sorry.
I wouldn't be shocked if like that's a pop for Elsie too.
Yeah.
Just the three of them kind of as like that darkness crew, it would surprise me if those are like the main three that we end up having rendezvous through the entire campaign.
Mm.
Want to see Eris fight with her Fushigi ball again?
Yes. I love that. But you know something? What if they get a chance to learn Strand as well? Because if Osiris knows a lot of stuff, would he start to tap into the darkness and use it himself? You know, it would make sense.
There's a lot. There's a lot to cover. What you just said.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So in the dark future, Zavala proves that a guardian without their ghost can still channel light.
Yes, they can.
He did it by standing literally on the Traveler. So I think there's probably like a range thing and being in darkness zones that you gotta like, figure into the equation. But like, TLDR though, still like it can happen.
Yes.
Then kind of alongside that, so if that means he doesn't have to truly abandon his light stuff, one, I wonder if he gets to be an old school Sunsinger. If he just like holds his super, he could go out on something and like, come back. I think that would be
that.
Yeah, right? Because he's got like technically like he was using the like older version of Warlock solar powers anyway, like technically, because we reconnect with those as
That's
the
true.
Guardian at the beginning of D2. So like that would be interesting. But two, one, what is Strand powered by? Is it powered by darkness? I think that's like where it would have to go, right? So like three, what's the third darkness power? Because synergy or not synergy, duality. That's a big thing in Destiny. So what's like the third power going to be? Ooh, there's a lot of neat options out there, but I'm excited for Strand because it's like nanotech, lasso whippy, just kind of like
telekinetic type. Yeah.
It reminds me of. I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say it makes me wonder if like how much of Strand is something that is commonly used on Neomuna. Like if that is a source for them. Like you don't see it much with the Cloud Strider. Like you don't see it at all, I feel like, in the trailer with the Cloud Strider. But I'm curious if that is a source of power for them.
Maybe if it's like us combining with whatever their power actually is.
Right.
It's like a new thing. Because like one thing that I kind of like about it, and it's funny that it's green now that I'm making this connection, but it kind of reminds me of like, it's like a version powered through very different means of like the Green Lantern powers. You have this stuff that you can project out and it takes the shape that you like come up with. And you're doing stuff with it now, like you're lassoing your way across the room. Like you're.
That's actually really good. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, that was just now. That was fresh. This recording. So.
And you know something though, Callus pretty much kind of alluded to Strand in the duality when he was saying light and darker threads woven into the tapestry of the loom, type thing. He was literally explaining pretty much Strand. So what if Strand is actually a combination between light and dark, and that's what we get? Has anybody thought of that?
It'd be interesting. But I also feel like we kind of have to sit on that duality between powers. We haven't quite reached where the gray kind of fits, if there is a gray area between light and dark.
Because we do know that the Witness don't even know about Strand. Like even he and this guy's kind of like been birthed from darkness in a way, and he's like the child prodigy of the darkness. And it's like, okay, I know all these other things, but I've never seen Strand in the day of my life. It's like, so it's like where it's got for me, I think it could be a mixture, of both, which will be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see, okay, here's this gray area super that you guys can finally get. And
I'd say
since we're the
anything's
only
possible at
beings
this
that can
point.
tap into it, so, you know.
Kevin Garnett, just anything is possible.
And that's the thing, you know, we're the only ones that can tap into that, and it's interesting to see. It's like, okay, you know, we're strained. We can use certain things like this. I mean, because it's very interesting because it basically pulls on reality strings, like the strings of reality, the fabric of reality. It pulls, and you can just utilize it at any time. It's very interesting. So it's like Strand is definitely going to be. I'm not sure if it's going to be like the main plot of the story. It's probably going to be kind of like just part of it. But it Strand definitely looks interesting. But I do wonder more about the key players. You know, like we talked about Tolan. You know, wonder what his play is. Eris Morn, her play is. And you're right, man. I definitely think that she's gonna have a big part in, you know, what's to come for sure. Especially
Well,
with the Drifter as well.
Sorry, it's really interesting that you bring that up. Like, what if this is like a Spider-Man symbiote situation where there's just a secret war happening, and then we fall in some goop, and now boom, Strand powers. I hope this doesn't backfire in any way. Like,
Here we go.
Fine.
Yeah, I'll question this later. I'm very busy. Like,
We'll
yeah,
question
this
later.
air lasso is my new Strand.
We just tie up the witness and Strand. It's like, okay, we got him, boys. Don't worry. No worries here. Yeah,
We're gonna Wonder Woman our way out of this.
Oh,
right.
the lasso of
Strand.
strands.
For sure. And you know something, we never really got a chance to think about. You did mention the third super that we're gonna get in final shape. And it's like, okay, let's name all the things that we do, all the powers we do know that the darkness, within darkness, can do. We know deep sight is one of them. Being able to reshape things from the past and make it come true. That's one power. We do know about take the power to take. That's something the witness can use to bend somebody from reality and kind of, you know, change them. We do know what else we got. Stasis, of course. That's another one. Let's see. What else do we know? I don't know about the Scorn type deal, you know, because it's very interesting to me. I was like, oh, so the witness was able to pretty much turn, what's her name? I always get Aramis's lieutenant into a Scorn. I was like, I thought that was only done through the Ahamkara, you know, able to wish.
That measure of regeneration is kind of wild.
Mm-hmm. Because I was like, wait, how is that possible? How is the witness able to do that? You know, kind of turn Scorn and make more Scorn. Yeah.
Also, just like looking at the trailer, there's, I think, an aspect that's really hard to kind of pin down. Like that in general is kind of like a hard thing to pin down because we don't know what the witness is in terms of like species.
Right.
This is a being that we haven't seen at all. We have never seen them before in any way, shape, or form within the Destiny universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're familiar with the things that, you know, the Hive can do. We're familiar with the things that the Fallen can do, that the Cabal can do, but we are completely unfamiliar with. And I mean, like looking at Ralk, that is one of many,
right?
And that's a very small scope to look at in
That
regards to like what their abilities are.
Yeah,
so I'm curious to see what that looks like in regards to like these tormentors that we're getting.
True.
And how that's going to be, because they have the ability to, was it sap our light?
Yeah, they can. Yeah. Ruinous Cosmonaut, thank you for joining. He says, Aldrin, tainted the ether fallen live. Oh, the ether fallen live on. Okay. Yeah. Aldrin did tainted them with that dark ether. That's probably how, because if they're able to make it on the dark ether, I could see how the witness could do it. If he tainted ether, to to turn them into that, I can see that. That's actually a very good observation. Notorious, my main man. Shout out to the Lords of Divinity, my group, wonderful guy. It says, I know you're going on the theories, but do you think with the expansion pack, will it force people to have more of a team player or still making it more solo friendly? What you guys think on that? That's actually a very interesting that's an interesting question. I mean, for me, I think they're trying to make it more in the team friendly sense. I do, going forward, especially with a lot of the changes that they're making in Lightfall, especially with getting more into the mechanics of, okay, hey, after, because I think they mentioned that after you do a game match, you could rate people, you can titles. That's going to be a new thing.
Like an endorsement system.
You said what?
Sure, that'll never be abused.
Oh,
not even once.
Not
even once.
Not even once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Safe.
It's never going to be abused, but I think they're trying to make it more team friendly, more now. So because the way they're going is they want us to be more okay. It's not just this just solo guardian that can do everything. It's like they're kind of changing that in a way, especially with our character being more involved in the story instead of just this outside hero mystique guy. Now we're more interwoven into the story where we're interacting with everybody else and we're all kind of like on the same page. And especially with the mechanics and stuff like that, they're trying to dive into that a little bit more.
I actually have a theory behind that.
Tell me.
So I know, like I've this is like a theme that I bring up a lot with like where we're at in the story and what I feel the story is moving towards in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of reminds me of the final fight, or the second to final fight at the end of the Red War campaign, where even in that last sequence going into the last city, there are other guardians that we run into. It wouldn't surprise me if there are going to be more large scale style battles with other people in regards to story content. And that we're having to work with one another to beat this thing, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think that would be kind of cool, or at least that's my hope. So they're instituting these larger, like, multiplayer experiences within the game to kind of facilitate that.
Yeah. Before I ask Taylor, you're spot on. I think so too. Ruminous Cosmos said, so that's how Aramis Lieutenant came back. Yep, that's how it got turned into a scorn. So Taylor, what you think about the whole thing that Notorious was saying in chat about, they're trying to make it more team play or more solo friendly, now going forward?
I think it's a yes and to what Eriska was saying. I really like the idea of there being that sort of a public area at the beginning of a story mission or like part of a story mission. Like that sounds like a lot of fun. And that was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Back then. One thing I really appreciate about that is like the first time you go in, you're like, okay. Yeah. All right. Let's do this, buddies. All right. Blueberries. Let's go. It's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of like random camaraderie between players there, which is always fun. I think story-wise, they're definitely promoting like us as part of a whole, and like as a whole, that's the only way. 5 points make the fist. Like that's how we're going to be able to stand against the darkness. And it's making a middle ground, making allies that you maybe wouldn't otherwise, and might not even remain your allies after it's over. But like that type of thing to like stop the thing that's going to end everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Bungie is doing a lot. I'm interested to see, because I feel like there's been this progression toward the possibility of high-end content with matchmaking, which right now we only have in like a couple places. 30th anniversary stuff, Days of Eternity, like that comes to mind right now. But even then, like when you get to like the pinnacle level of it, you need to like LFG. So I think that being a big ask for the community for a long time, I think that is going to be a focused Notorious. I think that Notorious Cam. I think that is going to be something that they do focus on. Indeed, I'm curious to see how it's going to express itself in these next steps in this coming expansion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure. Just looking at the stepping stones, like you were saying, looking at the stepping stones of the things that they've done and they're still doing. I think that's where you can kind of see, okay, they want to dial more into that, because if you look at it, I mean, just thinking back, Witch Queen, especially, look at all the teams that decided to go in, especially the story mode together, and just how much of the impact it was. Just going through it. I know I did it Legendary, and it was just something. And they want to dive more into that. Hey, we're playing this team. We are a team. We're trying to take out the witness. It's going to be togetherness type deal. And, the more they're playing with a lot of the mechanics of the things, the systems that we use already now, going forward. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start doing more different types of activities that you'll see, different types of reshapes of public events, public areas, because I would love to see, where we're in the area, right? And there's a big boss that spawns while everybody's in a public space and everybody have to just fight it. I think that would be pretty cool to try to pull something off like that in a social hub. Everybody's just doing what they're doing, and all of a sudden a big boss spawns in and a super yellow bar. Okay, we got to take him out, and we get him, we get a nice chest or something like that. I think that'd be cool. I think they could start playing around with that, but as I said previously in my other shows, I said they're working on the engines more so we can start doing more in the game, and they can start adding more different things. Especially, I can see them, drop just like when it comes to the old gen. I can see them dropping off old gen probably after Final Shape to say, okay, we are able to focus on new gen. We're able to do a lot more things now that we couldn't do when we had the old gen. So I could see them doing that later on, because we're talking, that's a couple years from now. Once we get to the next saga. So by that time, you could go ahead and chop off the old gen, and for them to utilize where we can start having space battles and all these other things that that I'm sure they want to do that we can't right now because of limitations. So, you can start to see a lot of social space type things that they're probably going to add later on. It's just a lot of things that they could do, especially they probably could start dabbling into more with the clan stuff, just a lot of things, man. There's a lot of things that they want to do. I'm almost sure that, right now they can't do, but they do have it in mind for sure. So, we'll just see how things pan out from here till, even Final Shape, I would say.
I would very much like a 6-man fire team.
Mm-hmm. That could be one of
them.
I
would like 12-man raids again.
Oh, yeah.
Hope we do better than the canonical large fire teams.
Yeah.
Especially against the Hive.
Oh my goodness!
I don't want to be a
yes.
crystal, please.
No.
But you
I
got it.
do have.
Oh, what was you gonna say?
Oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, the ladies first. I would say.
Oh no, it's kind of changing the subject a little, but like bringing it back to the hive.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think Amaru is going to fall into all this?
That is a question because Omaru is who he is. I think of course he's gonna follow Sabathun once he revive. Once Sabathun get revived, I feel like he's gonna reach out to us eventually. Because if we think about it, when we was in Sabathun's court, the witness, Evil Wrath, they were marching on Sabathun's doorstep because they were going to try to get her and everything like that. So they're just as under attack by the witness as we are. So I'm sure Amaru probably is like, okay, I know I hate you Guardians, but at the end of the day, I need help because we're under attack and this isn't good. I definitely think he's probably going to be the one that reach out to us, or we might reach out to him. It's going to be interesting to see how that ties in.
I kind of feel like maybe if I was the writer, maybe this is me projecting a little bit. So take that with that little grain of salt. But I feel like we're just going to see her body disappear, and he's resurrected her when the times come.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sneak her out, kind of deal.
Yeah, just kind of like how our body fades away in game. We'll just see like, and wherever
just
he's
looking at her on a table.
Yeah,
dissolves.
So I wonder what's happening. Like, did you away? Did you? Done. And then yeah, cut to where Imaru's at, like resurrecting. Because I mean, there's so many times that there's been covered in lore that like you don't need the body after the first resurrection. That's dead. Like how many times do we jump off the
time?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So just because we have it under lock and key, I feel like that's kind of like a poor understanding of our own powers.
Right.
But
you can get out at any time.
And I say that wholly against like what the game has also told me about the powers. So I'm not,
exactly.
I'm not going to say like I know better. It's just like, hey, but you said here.
I'm wondering if Sabathun's like alive already. She's just sitting on the table very still.
I feel like her body would be, like I said, like it would be gone.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the thing. It's like, of course, Amaru, he's leading the ship. The Lucent Hive, he's the one in charge right now. He's kind of like the vanguard for the Lucent Hive. And that's the thing. It's like, he's like, okay, sooner or later, I'm going to have to revive, Savathun. I'm going to have to go and get her. But I think he's going to need her body. Am I correct? Is he going to need her body, or can he just respawn her?
Technically, I don't think he has to. But for, like, I feel like for story's sake, they'd want to show that. I think that they would want to show that to a degree.
Or maybe like have a cool cutscene of him being like, yeah, so when you jump off the tower, does your ghost need to go to the bottom of it to resurrect you? And he just like resurrects her wherever you're at. like right then. Something like that. Because like to I think what you were alluding to, Rizka, like we were touching upon earlier, there's a lot of different places where the ghosts don't need the body. And if you go back to actually the Almighty, the Guardian that was trapped on there, the fact that Guardian wasn't actually dead, it was just frozen. They were just frozen, was why the ghost couldn't resurrect them. It wasn't that the body, like they couldn't get to the body, it's that they weren't dead. And you can't resurrect someone who's alive.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's part of it, but yeah, like Savathun being dead, based on everything we know from in-game and our own experience as the Guardian, I feel like kind of tells us that, that seems like something the Vanguard's doing as like, no, feel good about this. We have her body, so haha, gotcha.
It makes me wonder if there's limitations within Savathun's throne world, because it's basically like a little bubble. That if Amaru can't resurrect her from within there, that he would actually have to leave in order to do it. That's the only thing I could think of. Like, 'cause she is dead,
Yeah.
and technically could be resurrected from any point. But with him being in that plane of existence, is that something that prevents? Because when you think about it, like that would have prevented the traveler from providing the light to anyone outside of that bubble, right?
Well, that's interesting too, because the Hive are still, like, the Hive Guardians are still the Hive Guardians, even though the Traveler's no longer in there.
Right. They still can be resurrected, and I think they're still getting resurrected as we speak. You know, they're still have like ghosts still going out there reviving. You know, Hive constantly, and also remember the Lightblade is still alive too because his ghost ran away. You know, so the Lightblade probably gonna come back eventually as well.
And sorry, I got all excited. Obviously, like, the Lightblade's ghost does not care about the Lightblade's body. Bye.
And it's like, I'm outta here.
Yeah.
You know, and that plays a part in things too, because it's like, well, I could just go back and respawn him. You know, he'll be back. Don't worry. That's the thing, you know. And think about this. I don't know if you guys thought about this, but you remember in the trailer Lightfall, right? And we jump on that ship, the Cabal ship, and get out of there. Just looks like there's a big war already out in space. So we're already fighting, and who knows who all is there? You know, it could be Kaido. I'm almost sure it's probably her army's probably there. You know, it seems like a big space war. So while we're doing all of that, you know, how do we know that the ghost could just Imaro could just pop through, you know, to the tower and say, okay, while they all were focusing on the war ahead, let me go and revive Savathun right quick. You know, just kind of sneaks in there without anybody noticing them.
Unsecures all our files.
Right.
The files are inside the computer.
Right. You know.
Imaro clicking without fingers.
Let me see what you guys know. But that's possible, though. You know, I mean, with us, with our attention is being towards the witness and everything, we're not really looking at, okay, how do we know Imaro might not just slip through and just go and revive her? And we got another thing on our hands. But I truly think that this time, Savathun is going to probably help us out for sure. I mean, she's been helping us out before, even though she had a plan. You know, her plan was to pretty much protect the traveler. In order to do that, she's like, well, I might as well seal it away to keep the witness from, you know, from trying to get it. It wants to leave and escape. Well, I'll just seal it away. I'm doing what the traveler want me to do. So it's like, was her motive actually evil, or was she just trying to do what she thought the traveler wanted it to do? And that's the thing, you know, when it comes to Savathun. Now there are ranks in the Lucent Hive that actually were trying to do some menacing stuff, but what you guys think?
I was gonna say, I think her motives have always been her own. I think she's always been a little, you know, Savathun's after Savathun, even from the beginning.
Yeah.
And you know, if she's after anyone else, it's because of what they can do for Savathun.
I think when you work with the Worm of Deceit for so long, it's really hard to shake off old habits.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And that's the thing. It's like Savathun always she's got her own motives. And I think that's the thing that always bugs Mara Solve, between their interaction. Because it's like Savathun knows Mara Solve to the T, and it bugs Mara. To the point where she's like, okay, I had enough of her talking to me. I'm just going to seal her, And she knows how to get under her skin, and she knows that she don't really have a plan like that. We're basically just winging it for the most part. We don't know. We don't have any battle plans or what we're gonna do if Callus comes in. We literally have nothing right now, and that's the worrisome part for everybody. Like we've been very lousy of preparing. If you notice that, it's funny because it's like, well, we know the witness is literally right on our doorstep, breathing down our necks, and we have nothing really. And everything we try to advance with, we're caught at standstill. Look at Rasputin; we can't use him now. We're gonna have to probably destroy him
soon. TM.
Yeah.
Yes, soon.
I feel like we've just been surrounded by so much loss. It's just been loss after loss after loss, and it's we're always 2 steps behind because we're trying to play catch up.
Right.
And we need something that gets us ahead of the game for once instead of being, behind.
I think to add to that, we've always been defensive. Because I think Lightfall is what's going to change as we become like offensive. We start pushing them back out of the system, and because that especially makes sense if we get to something that's on the edge of the system.
Right.
Because like the last place, the pyramids are like surrounding us, including inner planets closer to the sun than Earth is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Last time we checked. So I'm here for a little like pushback.
we need a little rough pushback from here on out. And that's the thing. It's like we just don't know what to do now. We just like, okay, what do we do? Where do we go from here? Because it seems like the witness has really we know he's got a plan. I mean, look at his prophecy. We're in the city besieged going in Lightfall. We thought it was the our city, but apparently it's not. Or is it? Both. Is it both? I think that's the question I think nobody actually really thought about. It says city besieged, but how do we know both of our cities might get besieged? How do we know that for sure?
There was something that like Mara said during the cutscene that really kind of like stuck out to me about a hole being ripped in the ascendant plane above the last city. And like I keep thinking about that and how like what that entails. Like if that does get ripped open above the last city, like what that looks like.
That'll be crazy.
Yeah. Because I mean, if that's the case, with Sivu Wrath being as familiar with the Ascendant Plane as she is, I'm curious if that just means if we did that, she would be on our doorstep.
Mm-hmm. Oriska, are you implying that in Lightfall we might get attacked on both fronts?
I mean, it's a possibility, but also it completely depends on what happens with Rasputin at the end of the season.
That's true. Yeah, that's the thing. You're definitely right because I remember Marasov talking about that. She's been keeping a big eye on Zivu, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, any minute now she could invade, which is not good. And then we got Callus to deal with at the same time, So it's like, ooh, we are really not in a good spot right now, because who's to say in Lightfall we're dealing with Callus trying to, take us out and go to Niamuna. We chase after him. That leaves the last city unguarded. Where okay, Zero was like, "Oh, this is my perfect time to strike." That
It's
could be
also like, no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that could be like that. That could be something that's really going to
Absolutely.
cripple us.
I'm also curious because we've always been pretty vulnerable. Like I feel like we do not know everything that the Traveler can do.
Yeah.
Because we've basically always been relatively vulnerable. We don't have the same type of systems that, like, a great example is the beginning of the Red War. We didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare for that fight. We don't have satellite systems that are sitting around the Earth that can reach out, and be giving us like a heads up on a full scale invasion. It's kind of interesting why the Cabal, led by Gaul and Callus, were as brash as they were. Where we've had these other individuals come in, we don't have any of the pyramids on Earth yet, do we?
No, not yet.
The closest is the moon.
Yep, that's the closest they've gotten to us so far.
So it makes me wonder, like, why?
That is true. Before I go into Taylor, definitely want to say, hey, what's going on to the chat? I appreciate you, chat, for being here, listening in to these Destiny Lord discussions. I definitely want to say hi to Lori. She's been a long time supporter of the show. Appreciate you, darling. Ruminous Cosmonaut. He says, on a big enough tipping point, she can land on the last city. Yeah, that's solid, man. Yeah, for sure. She literally can literally just drop down from the sky anytime she wants. But I think she's planning a way she wants to do it. Says the Wama Boo, I appreciate you for following. Appreciate it. And Wambu says, is PvP going to be better than last patch? So you're probably wondering how PvP is going to be like in Lightfall. I don't know. I'm not sure, man. I know they got a lot of stuff still cooking when it comes to PvP. In the state that it is right now, it's a little iffy, but they are trying to work on more things when it comes to PvP. They did mention a lot of stuff about, especially with competitive. A lot of people was like, well, it's kind of lackluster. Not that many prizes or any type of rewards or anything. And I know they don't want to do pinnacles, but I'm sure they're going to try to find a happy medium, something that gives more engagement. Of course, we're going to get more maps going forward. They did talk about that, more maps, different things that they're looking at adding and changing. So keep an eye out, and we'll definitely cover it, especially if they mention more about it on the top in future shows. So keep a lookout, tuning in. Thank you, Wambu. But Taylor, so what are you thinking about this, man, when it comes to just the whole thing with Zebo Wrath and where do we go, man? What do we do now? I wonder how the end of the season is going to play out, which is going to determine what's going to actually happen.
I think we got the seeds. I think, like I said in part 1, I'm still leaning into it's going to be like Data in Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to figure out how to play to not lose as opposed to play to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to make the difference, and it's going to be a lot of like sacrificial and like weird play that Zero Ref won't know how to deal with. That's what I think. That's how I think it's going to culminate. I'm curious to see what the last mission, whatever, that's going to come with this season is going to be. That kind of like ties into how it culminates. So
yeah,
there's
too.
that. But that's my general call on it. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to follow the logic that they've planted in the first like 7 of the 8 parts.
I can see that. And I did hear that, of course, we get a final mission, and there's a live event this time around. So that's gonna be interesting, man. I want to see what happens. What in the world is going to happen? I'm excited but nervous about it at the same time. Like, oh no, this is truly, going to be tough. Whatever's going to happen. I hope we don't lose Rasputin. I hope we still got him, or we figure out how we can actually change the game or something. It's going to be interesting. But I think the more Osiris keeps talking to Rasputin, the more Rasputin's kind of like revealing about this Neomuna. He's like, oh, okay, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. So I'm definitely interested in that. And because, Osiris wants to be right. He just knows it's there. And he's like, yo, listen, Rasputin, I'm questioning you. You know it's here. You had it in your database. Tell me where I can look for it. Because he's just like, right now, he's just like on the deep end, like, I got to know. You're driving
I'm really
me crazy.
hoping to go back to Ariska's reference earlier that it's the files are inside the computer.
They're inside the computer.
Exactly. They're there. Just look. He's like, tell me where to look. But they're on this computer right here. If you look at
If you call Long Island to get a zip drive backup.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
It's like, here you go.
I would be here if this was a season long setup to that simple of a joke. I'm that easily pleased.
As much as I would like to see Rasputin like hang on and persist, I could absolutely 100% see Rasputin sacrificing himself towards the end of the season. Just with all of these references to humanity and more than a machine, and having that measure of self-sacrifice is like very much attributed, I feel like, to like a human attribute.
Right.
Not trying to pull like a Pinocchio here, but like if he does sacrifice himself to that degree, would it be so hard to think that the Traveler wouldn't see that and bring him back as a guardian? It's a big long shot, big old long shot. That's my spin foil for the day.
Does he get a body? Does he get to be the real boy first?
Oh, Anne has a boyfriend.
well,
the real boyfriend.
Well, the one part that gives me pause is for the same reason. Rasputin is the same as Clovis Bray. He's an AI. He doesn't have that part that makes him human.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I think that's the one bridge I want them to cross story wise.
Yeah,
he goes back into an AI, because honestly, they haven't done a lot with Banshee, and it really kind of like it kind of gets in my craw because I know John DiMaggio likes work. I know he likes work, and the fact that we have he's always been Banshee's voice, but there's never been any tie to why his voice is different than Clovis's when they're both the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Where did this break occur?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure it occurred in somewhere between Banshees 1 through 44.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I or like maybe going forward, I think it would be really cool. It's kind of like a break from Clovis if whatever Rasputin does, if he took on like Banshee's voice, vocal patterns.
That would actually be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they both rebelled against Clovis. They both don't want to be him.
Yeah. Trying to get like the farthest from that whole thing. I could see that easy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Something like that would be cool to see, but I too am curious as to where they're going to take it, because like they got against the Lightfall, but like, I mean, Neomuna could be like its own thing. That could be completely independent of whatever like does or doesn't happen this season.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah.
They could definitely flip the switch and be like, oh, okay, everything that you saw this season, we're not going to talk about that. Let's just move on to this Neomuna. That's possible.
Next week on Destiny 2.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It
You know how
says,
these Destiny 2 abridged episodes.
welcome to the Destiny 2 Abridged episode.
Ugh.
That would actually be hilarious, though. I'm
Oh,
your
man.
host, Lysander. Where did you go? You know,
I've been just off camera this whole time.
that's all. I've been here the entire time, just off camera.
Just over there.
He's just over there sipping tea the entire time.
Had the right idea the whole time.
Right. I knew this was gonna happen. I told you.
If y'all just listen to me.
Uh-huh.
They call it this
Roomless
agent.
Cosmonaut says, I think for the event, it'll be the first time we lose. He said, imagine Rasputin cutting all ties, he said, cuts his losses and sends us to Niamuna. He could possibly do that. Let's see what else he said. Let's see. And then tell us there's another. What if this is the moment we lose the traveler? Ooh. And then it said it leaves us like it left the fallen and the absence of light we use the strand because we're so used to wielding different powers. What y'all think about that? Is he right or is he wrong? Or is he super right about what he's saying? Could that actually be the case where the traveler could leave us at the end of the season?
I think the Traveler is going to leave. I think they've been hinting at that for years now. I don't think that's going to happen this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we'll be being forced to use Strand outside of like a specific story mission type scenario.
I'm actually curious. And I get I feel like I got this way after Forsaken. I always get really concerned when we don't see our ghost in a trailer. I get really concerned when we don't see our ghost in a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And I like if let's just say if for some reason the traveler leaves and we have to go to Niamuna, if something like catastrophic occurs, is Strand like the Cloud Strider's answer for the traveler? Is that what that's supposed to essentially entail? Or do they have something within their own technology that provides them with something to that degree? It's very it's one of those things that we all know that it's coming. We just don't know where the runway ends. The plane is on its way. We just don't know where takeoff is.
Right. Yeah, you're right about that. We don't really know when it's going to happen. I do feel like it's going to happen at some point too. It's just it's like, ooh, the stakes are already super high. A lot is stacked up against us right now as we speak. We already got Sivo Rav that can literally invade us at any time. We got Callus that's already on highs. He got his armada of Shadow Legion that he's been building. And they're going to go and find that wherever they're trying to find that artifact or something in Niamuna. But they're going to try to fight us as well while they're doing it. It's a lot going on. And the Traveler, the minute the Traveler feels a lot of pressure, the Traveler's out of there. If the Traveler feel like it's going to lose, okay, I can't trust y'all no more. It's been a long run, buddies, but I got to split. I think that could possibly happen, for sure.
So long and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah. Where are the dolphins going?
With the Traveler. They're going with Venturance inside the Traveler. They're going.
Yeah, they're going with the Traveler for sure. Roomless Cosmonaut says, on a weird stab, what if the witness is using us to reach the Traveler? Until now, light and dark powers haven't been able to be mixed, and Then we came along. Yep, I think we are. I think you mentioned that too, Taylor. I think last show. We pretty much kind of are the final shape in a way. We travel. We balance light and dark, but we make it. We build it to do what we think is right. What you think
We
about
bring
that?
balance to the force.
We took the Inquisitor sabers and we purified their kyber so that they're white now and Great Jedi. So Guardians are Ahsoka confirmed. So
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's that's definitely interesting. What you think about that, Riska? You feel like we're this final shape, or
It would be appropriate, but also it makes me wonder more about the relationship with the traveler to the darkness. And
Mm.
I'm not trying to be literal here. So the traveler is very spherical and the pyramids are very pyramidy. It makes me wonder if there's something else that we don't. I'm sure there's several things that we don't know yet, but it makes me
Right.
wonder if there's something else that we have not received any information on yet that
Mhm.
has an impact on this final chapter.
Right,
I'm
right.
still waiting to see the cephalopods.
I know, right?
Yes.
Which they can do any shape.
we
They
still
control.
we still waiting on them to appear eventually.
Oh man, gosh, I think I said it in one thing, but I've been dreaming of this idea. It was like, the final shape's happening, everything's coming upon, and then Pahanen just shows up. He's been training cephalopod guardians.
Mm.
Oh,
You have
jeez.
you have like 8 arms, 6 shots. And you have
Just
Uh,
like, oh wait,
just thunder crashing squids just everywhere.
oh my goodness.
Just come out of the ocean.
can you imagine like that coming at you?
Oh
I
my
don't care what enemy you are. That's terrifying.
facts. It's like
That's
wait.
that's more frightening than a Thunder Crash Titan.
That would actually be crazy
Oh.
for sure.
Angry and aquatic. Just
Mhm. So we'll get ready to go ahead and wrap it up soon. Definitely want to get your last thoughts, but before we get the last thought, let me read Roman's last comment. The witness said, "Your pale heart holds the key. What if this is where the witness finally catches him and cracks him open? Hey, that could be a possibility. What key is he talking about?
The Traveler is just a Kinder Egg.
Okay. Can we expand the Destiny cookbook with poached travelers?
Oh, that'd be really good.
I know.
That'd be really good.
Travelers Benedict.
Oh God, Scotch Traveler.
Yes.
Mhm.
That'd be down for.
I'd like a traveler boiled hard, please. She'll know it.
Can I have one of those? I'll take one of those for sure.
My
But,
hope is we get more of an identity with the Traveler, though.
Right.
Mhm.
That we, even if we don't hear the Traveler's voice, but there is more. I would love to see more memory sequences
Mm-hmm.
given to us through the Traveler, so we're able to kind of piece together what the actual history, and like this comes like full circle with the Hive too.
Yeah.
Finding out like what the origins are in regards to where the Traveler has been, why it keeps moving. You know, it has that name for a reason, but like, what is the reason for why it travels?
Yeah. I hope we start last thoughts. I hope we start to at least get more deep lore going forward with the Traveler before this whole final shape thing. And I think we probably will get more in depth, because we know more about the darkness than we do the Traveler. It's like, wait a minute, the Traveler's been with us for so long, we really know much about it. So I hope Lightfall is going to give us the chance to really explore more about the Traveler, what it really is, and why it does what it does. We know why the darkness does what it does. We know about the witness, but we don't know about the traveler with his intentions. We don't know much of nothing, especially more so now than ever. So I'm interested to see how they're going to wrap that up into a nice bow. Going forward, especially with two expansions out right here. So it's definitely gonna be interesting for sure. But that being said, I appreciate y'all for coming. Any last thoughts for the completion of the 2-part series of the lore panel? How you feeling, Taylor?
Feeling good. Thanks for having me. Always having a blast. And, Riska, it was great being on a show with you again as well. This was a lot of fun.
We should do this again sometime, a couple months after release. Because
Oh,
we'll have
we will.
more stuff to go into after that.
Oh, we
Twist
will.
my arm.
We will.
No.
And
I would love to. That sounds great.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna do this again, for sure. After we got the months down of Lightfall, we're gonna come down. Okay, guys, it'll be more. We have a lot more to talk about, like you said. Especially because now we're gonna have the whole deal. We're gonna have to go through a lot of lore. It's gonna be a lot, So especially the raid and everything. So, yeah, we'll definitely come back again. With this lore panel, it's going to be great. It's going to be a solid team, and hopefully, hey, we can add more lore guys in with us. So it's going to be cool and awesome. And Riska, what's your final thoughts? How are you feeling?
Very anxious. Much need answers.
Yes.
Now, please. I'm very much biting at the bit to get into the new content. But I am even more looking forward to how they're going to wrap up this season. I'm hoping that we get something to kind of like give us that springboard into the next campaign. So,
I agree. I definitely agree. I think they're going to knock it out of the park for sure. This time, that gives us amped up for Lightfall. But yeah, I definitely had a good time with you guys, man. Like I said, we're gonna do it again. Once Lightfall fully kicks off, and we're gonna have a lot to talk about going forward on whatever happens, because then we're gonna have to talk about the end of season 19 all the way through to Lightfall. So it's gonna be a lot to talk about for that. So
hashtag bring back Lysander.
Yes,
Sympathy for Lysander.
We're gonna have to start that movement. Hashtag bring back Lysander. But so that being said, we're gonna do the floor is yours. And Taylor, how can they find you, my main man?
You can find me on every social that I'm on. My tag is This Is Red Leader, spelled Litre, all one word. You can find me on like 120 some plus episodes of Spinfoil Theory. We just wrapped up at the end of this last year, so not too long ago. And here soon TM. You can find me on a yet unannounced show, but if you follow me at that first stuff, you'll find out about the new thing when we talk about it.
Ooh, sounds good. And Ariska, how can they find you and what you got going on?
You can find me at Ariska Plays on Twitch. I try to stream Tuesday through Friday. Mixture of everything from Destiny to Genshin to indies that I find. In terms of projects that are coming up, I got a secret one going on with Som. We got more information, we'll share it with you. But if you're following myself on Twitter, it's Ariska Plays. Som Lab is Som Lab at Twitter as well. And once we can tell you guys more, we'll tell you more.
Sounds good. And of course, you guys already know you can always find me right here on P. Carlisle Gaming channel. And also you can find me on Twitter, P. Carlisle Gaming 2 on Twitter. So that way you guys can, come chill with me, see what's going on. And I'm always trying to post and have a good time. I always post some motivational things, some cool little stuff, so that way get people hype for the day and the end of the day out. So you always can follow me on there. We're always doing our thing. And with that being said, I appreciate all of y'all. And I guess today I'm going to go ahead and get everybody out of here with a nice little raid. So I'm going to go ahead and raid one of my dear friends, Basie, she's a great PvP extraordinaire. So definitely, guys, go and say hi to Basie, and I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful Tuesday night, and get in there, reset, do some raids, and you know how it goes. So appreciate y'all. Until next time. All right, all right. And we are out of here. Cool, cool.
All